Well, good morning. How are you all this morning? Welcome to Prepping for Prosperity. I'm Steve Smith. First off, I want to welcome all the new people here. We've just had so many people joining over the last few days. I know it's driven by this banking situation. More people are becoming interested in the financial aspect of preparing. And it is so important. I've been drumming this for a long time. People didn't really want to hear it for a long time because they were more interested in beans and bullets and band-aids and bugging out and stuff like that. And now everyone is starting to understand the importance of financial stability and financial preparedness. So welcome to all of you. Now that you're here, we're going to really get into some stuff that I think is going to further empower you and further prepare you for the challenges that are going to keep coming our way. And it's going to keep you out of the problems many will fall into, and it will enable you to progress even further in your preparedness. Once again, let me start here for a second. I want to talk about the importance. Oh, by the way, also, I want to welcome everybody who is coming over to the Patreon channel. The Patreon channel, the link is right down below. We've just had so many more people joining that too. I put so much more over there than I put on the YouTube side. Simply because I wouldn't have time to put everything on the YouTube side. And the purpose of the Patreon channel is for a place for me to put additional information, and then for me to put up other sources, other things, like, for instance, very often I'll put up individual articles or videos over on the Patreon channel. Today there are so many that I'm going to put all of them listed within one video that I'll be shooting. So it gives you so much more information that you might not find yourself, because you have a life to live, right? And this is kind of what I do. So it allows me to get that information that I think that is going to be helpful for you, and put it over there so you can just click and go right to it and get the information that's gonna guide you in the right direction. I'll let you know kind of what's going on, because finances can be confusing. And especially this thing with this banking situation, it can be confusing for people who don't, keep up on it. Like anything, anything that we don't keep up on is confusing to us, because there's always so much more to it than you see on the surface, which is where most of the people, get their information and stop right there. But it's important to kind of understand what's going on beneath the surface, so you know what to plan for. So that's over on Patreon. Like I say, the link is right down below. It's only $5 a month, and it's the best $5 you will ever. And I say, you don't spend it, you invest it. You're investing it in yourself. It's going to be the best $5 a month you'll ever invest in yourself as far as finances goes. I'm going to start here because I had CUCV, my Stomot notebook that I find that I'm using so much to keep track and write down questions and things that people have mentioned. CUCV Farmer made a comment, and I forget whether it was here or over on the Integrative Preparedness channel, but this does apply here. And when I talk about looking for wisdom, I mention in almost all the videos, ask God to guide you. He's never going to guide you wrong. And CUCV Farmer said, he says, look at James 1:5. So I'm going to start today with reading James 1:5. First, I'll do it out of the King James, my big King James that I keep here on my desk, and then I'm going to do it out of the New Living Bible, because it explains it. It puts it in a language that people understand better. So, James 1:5, it says, "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him." Okay. Well, now, we would have a hard time if we were back trying to make our way in the England of King James. So let's talk about, let's see what it says in 21st century Western world. And here's what it says very clearly. If you need wisdom, if you want to know what God wants you to do, And that's what I said in yesterday's. Find out what God wants you to do, not what you think you should do, what God wants you to do. Seek His guidance and follow it, and you're going to be fine. So I interjected myself there for a moment. Let me start over again. If you need wisdom, if you want to know what God wants you to do, ask Him. Just ask Him. And He will gladly tell you. Okay, that is the secret. Now let's talk about what's going on today. I'm going to say right up front here, I want to talk about being aggressive. It's important that you be aggressive with your finances. Too many. I was going to start and say I reviewed. Excuse me while I back up. I saw that Dave Ramsey had something that he put up online in response to this banking situation, so I watched it. There's a lot of things that I disagree with Mr. Ramsey on, but I watched this to see what his take was. Once again, he is missing the point. He is missing the point and the dangers of what's going on with these bank collapses. I understand he comes at it from a very, how shall I say, non-complex side. Okay, he's a smart guy, but he really is all about the don't use credit cards and use all cash and all that kind of stuff. And when it goes beyond, not that he doesn't know how the system works, but he doesn't advise, he doesn't address how these things are really going to impact the individual. So I was going to talk about it here. It's just too much to get into. So I'm going to put that on the Patreon channel when I get done here. Okay, because I'll just say this. If you listen to what Dave says, realize you have to go much farther than that to really understand what to do. Okay? Seek God's guidance and understand. Get information. Okay, now I want to get to, hang on half a second. Okay, I guess I don't need these on anymore. I'll need those for Patreon because I'm going to read a lot of stuff. People are not aggressive enough in their finances. You've heard the term passive aggressive, right? Okay. Well, in this, people tend to be passive in their finances. Not everyone here. As a matter of fact, what I suggest is we have some great comments, both here and the Patreon side. We have some great comments over on the integrative preparedness. We have a lot of people here who understand economics and their finances and have done very well, and they leave their experiences. So I encourage you to read their comments. But most people, especially those who come at it, from a preparedness angle, they tend to be very passive in their finances. And by that I mean they try to do with less and less and less and less and less. Okay. Now, that is preparing for when everything just crashes. Okay. But it's not really preparing for when everything crashes, because they're not doing what they need to be doing to increase their financial strength now so as to be able to better prepare for when everything crashes. Does that make sense? And by what I mean by that, they'll say, well, money doesn't buy skills. No, it doesn't. But money buys the gear, the equipment, the supplies that enable your skills to be put to better use. Okay? So your financial development is right up there at the top. At the top, right under God. It is at the top because of what it allows you to do. It not only allows you to solidify your position, but to be in a position to help other people. And you really should be, working toward that. Now, when I say that I think most people approach this, most preppers approach this passively, that means that they're not striving to better. What they're trying to do is retain. They're trying to hold on. They're trying to conserve what they have. They're trying to, they're building up their beans and bullets and Band-Aids. But then they're just kind of pulling in their horns and waiting to survive. Okay, well, preparedness is not about surviving, although surviving is preferable to not surviving. But surviving is simply the first step to living. Yes, you have to survive to live, but survival itself is not necessarily living. You want to develop yourself so that you can continue to live a life worth living, no matter what the situation, whether it's the big collapse that I talk about in my books, or whether it's the financial challenges that we're going through right now. So what I suggest to people, and this is the main lesson of today, you have to be aggressive. And if you're not, it's time to get aggressive with your finances. That means be aggressive in making money, being aggressive in developing new avenues to make money, new income streams, be aggressive in saving, be aggressive in paying down your debts, okay? Pay off those credit cards, and whatever else you can, be aggressive in it. By being aggressive, you're going to stop approaching things in a fearful, in a defensive way, okay? And you're going to start approaching things in a powerful way, and a position and an attitude of strength. And with that, the momentum that comes out of there, there's no momentum in defense and just holding something off. The momentum comes in going forward, in pushing forward. And those who are truly successful always have an aggressive attitude about it. That doesn't mean that you're out there, beating your chest and rah, 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 rah. What it means is that you are directed, a godly direction. You are directed and you are aggressive. You are going to go after this, that it's meaningful, that it's an important part of your life. You're going to do what is needed to improve your position, to improve the quality of your life, and which means improving your financial life. Now, over on Patreon, I'll probably do a couple of things on what's more fun, making money or spending money. Most people would say spending money. That's a mistake. That's why they get in trouble. Also, I'll talk about a stealth savings that you kind of fool yourself, and all of a sudden, pretty soon you find out you got a little bit of money. Those are things that have served me well in my life. So I'll probably put those over on Patreon, because that's really for, when I talk about the things that I have done, here on YouTube I'll talk about, or I know this also goes on Patreon, I talk about the general aspects, the general things you need to keep in mind. On the Patreon channel, I'll get into a little more personal stuff, a little specifics. That's what it's there for. So be aggressive. Today, when you get out there, and every day, you might replay this tomorrow and the next day, whenever you need it. Be aggressive. Don't be afraid. Don't say, well, I need to, oh gosh, I can't afford that. I can't afford. Here's the difference between passive and aggressive, okay? Instead of saying, oh, I can't afford that, whatever it is. You probably, instead of saying that, say, I'm going to put that money that I would have paid for that, I'm going to put that in my savings. I'm going to use that to pay down that credit card. I'm going to use that to solidify my financial position. You know how good that feels? You know how good that feels when you have a good financial foundation? One of the best feelings in the world, okay? And it's important. And it builds the foundation that you need to build your future prosperity. Okay? I'll leave it there for now. Remember, Don't be passive. Be aggressive in all that you do in a positive way. It's not negative against others. It's positive for you. And like we read in James, seek his direction. Seek his advice. Ask him, what do you want me to do, Lord? And he will tell you. And then do it. You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.